Hello. I think we're live.
Yeah, the red sign.
Little tiny
thing.
print. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that is. It's not a button.
No.
It's a button. It's not a button.
Not a button, but close. Anyways, welcome back. It's Friday nights, and we're doing book chats with Mostly Books. I'm Jody.
I'm Jen.
Tonight we're discussing The Ninth House by Leah Bardugo. We're going to start this by saying Jen had a week.
I had a week.
Nothing bad. It was just one of those where life got in the way every time you sat down to read.
Every time I sat down, it's like, oh, something else happened. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's going to go like that.
So we're going to apologize because we are not going to spoil this book.
Oh, gee, we're apologizing for not spoiling it.
And we might do a little shorter chat because Jen didn't quite finish, really wants to finish. Is very sad she hasn't yet.
Like 60% of the way through. So we have 276 pages we can spoil.
And I will. Don't worry. So maybe next week we will do a quick recap of this if we have a time, depending on how next week goes.
Yeah.
So.
Hopefully you don't have a week.
Fingers crossed. I feel like I really need to knock on a lot of wood now. All right. Why don't you give us a synopsis still?
Okay.
So we can do that. Okay.
So Alex Galaxy Stern, she is in her first year at Yale, and she can see ghosts, as one does. And that's why she was brought to Yale. She is brought to Yale to be as part of this oversight council society called Leigh, and they oversee the other, like, secret societies of Yale, which there are many. Mm-hmm. But there's 8 of them, specifically, that do various magical, bloody, bad things.
We all knew Yale did this.
And Alex is brought in to, like, learn from one of the seniors to, like, soon be, like, the head of the oversight council, basically, and, like, make sure all the rights stay safe and no unsuspecting humans are harmed beyond necessary.
It feels like one of those no humans were harmed in this commercial kind of things.
There's a lot of that going around, though.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And then, like, strange things start happening because, like, the plot goes between the past when she's, like, first starting out and the winter after something terrible has happened, and these ghosts that aren't supposed to touch you can grab her, and there's one that chases her down, and, like, all these bad things start happening.
Yeah. That pretty much sums it
Okay, I was gonna say,
big catastrophe happens.
And then I have to deal with it, and I still don't really know what the catastrophe was. Like, I kind of know what it is, but...
Oh, you think you know. Okay. Well, what did you think of Alex?
I like Alex. Yeah, she's been through a lot.
That's an understatement.
It is that's such an understatement. She's been through a lot. She's, like, constantly always in survival mode. Mm-hmm. But she's like, this has forced me to know how to take care of myself. She's like, I know how to survive. And she approaches, like, life at Yale very differently from all these, like, moneyed prep school kids.
Yeah, all these very, very entitled children.
Yes.
Yeah. I had mixed feelings on Alex. Like, I liked her. I think I had hoped I'd like her just a little bit more because she's got a rough edge. So initially you kind of have to, like, get over that with her and just realize how crappy of a life she had, and that's why she has this rough edge and this guard up all the time. Not to mention she's such a fish out of water in Yale. Oh my gosh, I think that's, like, she's coming from California to Yale, and that's a whole different world on top of it. B, she definitely was not from a well-to-do family. She has a very
kind of flighty mother.
Definitely was, like you said, surviving, always scraping by. Definitely was not used to getting necessarily a meal every day. So yeah, I mean, she had a rough go. So she, I think, rightly gets to have her rough edge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I end up really liking her in the end. It just has to get going.
I really like her and, like, her friendships with Dawes and, like, Mercy and Lauren, which sometimes she tries to be a good friend to them. She tries. Sometimes it doesn't happen.
And I think part of that is just such a cultural thing. Like, she just is not used to this kind of...
Also, like, ghosts can attack her.
How do you explain that to
How do you tell your friend?
Normal, everyday college girl friend?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, sorry I dipped last night.
Yeah.
Jumped me.
I like all of her friendships with them. I love... Can we move on to Darlington?
Yes, we can move on to Darlington.
I love Darlington. Which I think I've already said.
You might have, but it's been a while since when I started this book. I was like, who are you? Mm-hmm. I didn't remember anything you had told me.
Oh, good. He's like our polar opposite of Alex, our very well-to-do.
He's got a bit of an edge to him, too.
He's got a different kind of edge, yes. Hers is like, survival, don't hurt me, I will hurt you first kind of a thing. His is a snark.
Yeah.
Which I like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I liked him, too.
I really wish we had more of him in this book, because things happen, but...
Are we going to get more of him in the series, do you think?
In the series?
Yeah.
Let's come back to that.
Okay. That's fair.
Do you want to talk about, like, Dawes, or,
I just wanted to shame Darlington for his Sperry topsider boat shoes. He deserved that one. I was just like, oh,
he
dude.
has a certain style that maybe not for everyone.
No, but like you can just see that he's the type that would wear them.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, oh.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, you kind of I love him and hate him sometimes.
Oh yeah, I get that. Because sometimes he's a punk.
Sometimes he's just like too ridiculous. It's like, dude, you can't really, come on.
Yeah.
But then sometimes he's pretty good.
And his relationship, like, okay, we should probably note that Darlington is basically her mentor. Did we already talk about that? Like,
kind of, but we can talk about it more.
And so he's trying to guide her into this new position, which is such a weird one,
He's
too.
Virgil.
I was going to say that, and I was like, did they call him that? I can't remember.
Yeah, he's Virgil, and she's Dante.
And that is very accurate. I mean, are there 7 or 8 houses?
There are 8, and then Leith is the 9th house. Or is there a different 9th house? I'm now thinking there's a different 9th house.
I feel like we need to come back to that, too. So, yeah, I do like that. He's not the best trainer, maybe. I should start with saying that. Like, I didn't always like the way he approached showing Alex how to go about monitoring these other houses, which is also a weird thing that they have to have another house that comes in to monitor them. It makes you think, gosh, you guys were really bad before you had this put into place.
Are they ever going to talk about why Leith House is called Leith?
I don't think that has come up yet in this series.
They talk about it, like, once they mention it's, like, the last underworld river the dead have to cross. But I'm like, are you guys going to talk about, like, why your house is named after the river of forgetting? Like, is this not a thing?
Not yet a thing.
Oh, man. I've been waiting for it. I'm like, when is this going to get dropped?
Yeah, so I liked the relationship for the most part. Like I said, I think I just really had hoped that we'd have a little bit more time building that than we ended up with in this book.
Because we get him in, like, all the past chapters. Yeah. But then in the present ones, it's like, oh, Darlington's in Spain.
Spain.
Oh, all the present chapters that I've had so far.
Spain. That's all I'm saying.
It's like, no, he's not in Spain. That's not a spoiler. He's not in Spain.
He's definitely not in Spain. Okay. Anything writing?
Yeah.
What'd you think of the writing?
I liked it. It didn't. I don't know if it was just because it didn't feel as like vivid as Six of Crows. It still felt descriptive and like I was in the world, but in a different way.
Yeah, and I think part of that is because it's a more realistic world.
Might be it,
as opposed to her fantastical world, I guess. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of how I chalked that up, because I thought that too.
Because I was like, it's still, like, the bloody scenes are very bloody, and it's very vibrant. It just didn't feel the same as, like, her other writing I'd read. And also, it's a different genre. It is adult, so it's not YA, so that might be part of it,
urban,
too.
Yep. A little bit different.
Yeah.
I thought the beginning is a little slow to get going, but then, oh my goodness, do things start happening.
That didn't help when I was reading it only in, like, few page increments every so often.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, wait.
It probably took me like 100 pages, maybe just under 100 pages to really get into this. Not that it was like
it
a bad
with a bang.
Story or anything. Yeah, it's just like it opens with a bang, and then it kind of is like her just settling into Yale life and not succeeding in her classes, and you know
and
how it all goes.
She's having a rough time.
Yeah. But then, like I said, things happen.
Yeah.
And the houses are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
like as we travel through all of those, and her thing with the ghosts are really interesting. Can we get into that part now?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
we can talk about the ghosts.
What did you think of that?
I thought it was cool. I like that there's these little mentions. So Alex has been able to see ghosts like as long as she's been alive, basically. She thought they were humans at first because she can see them in color. Darlington and the other Leith people, if they drink this special elixir, they can see the grays, but they only see them in gray scale,
Which is what they call the ghosts.
yeah. Alex can see them in color, and you're not supposed to like connect to the ghost. You're not supposed to like look at them head on or make eye contact. You're not supposed to talk to them or know their names. Or
Do you know why they brought her in already? Has that been pretty clearly stated?
because she can see
Yeah.
them.
Okay. Is that,
I was like,
remember if they
is there another
blatantly
reason?
said that. Yeah, like this is really why we're taking you, this scrappy girl.
Yeah, so
bringing
I
you
got,
here.
Like some of like her waking up in the hospital bed and like the dean
is
being there being like, so we have a deal for you. Completely Men in Black kind of shady.
And do you know what happened to put her in the hospital?
Something with like her friends died. She calls it Ground Zero.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if these are spoilers yet because you find this out pretty early.
No, I think you find that part early. Yes.
And
Okay.
like it looks like it was an overdose for Alex, but Alex survived, but there's blood everywhere, but Alex was never a suspect.
Because it was a different hand.
And there's things supernatural going on. I know that. I just don't know what it is yet.
Okay. Okay, cool.
I only know that because I've read a fantasy novel or two.
You're right. You're like, something's up with this scene.
Something's up.
Yeah, so the Grace things are very interesting, and she has such a different relationship too. Like, as you keep going, you find out that, like you said, they can touch her.
And I know the thing that happened to her when she was a kid with the Greys.
Yeah, when she was assaulted.
Yeah.
Pretty much all out raped.
Yeah.
By a weird ghost. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, now I get why you hate them.
And could you imagine? No wonder she goes to, like, drugs and whatnot to try to not see them and coping with them.
That reminded me of what's his
Oh,
face
Klausy.
in Umbrella Academy.
Klaus.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I remember the
Sorry,
name.
Klausy. I just dub people weird names. Yeah, because he's adorable.
Right.
Yeah, totally. Like, you understand completely why they go into that.
Yeah.
Should try to shut it all out. I don't know how I would cope with that either, especially after being assaulted by one. I just don't. And no one believing you.
Yeah, and no one. Yeah, that was.
So, yeah, all upsetting, definitely there. And so, do you also think Darlington is a little jealous?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah, he's like this girl who has nothing. Like,
right. Like,
why does she get this talent?
Groomed to take this role,
Yeah.
and here she is just walking off the street.
Yeah, and he was like so excited to like pick a candidate and pick a Dante, and find someone to take under his wing, and then they're like, here, you get Alex.
Here's this girl, Alex.
And she's like the opposite of everything he would have looked for in a candidate.
Right. I know. I think that's why they have such a rough go in the beginning.
They do.
What else do you want to talk about? Because I feel like maybe we'll let you lead the conversation.
I kind of wish I'd known more about Yale.
Before you started?
Yeah, like, my friend went there, but, like, getting into this, I was like, okay, which of these societies are real? Which ones are completely made up? And just kind of, because it feels very fuzzy. I'm like, this could have been made up, this could have been not made up. So there's a part where they mention, like, the library? The Beinecke...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to say it.
Oh, yeah.
It's the big glass library they do one of the rituals in.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, oh, there's the Gutenberg under its glass cube. And I text my friend, I'm like, Yale has a Gutenberg and you didn't tell me? Yeah. I don't know how to spell it because it's not phonetic. And I'm like, I have no idea how this is spelled.
Yeah. And I don't know the answer. I don't know which of the... Did you ask your friend? Well, she probably wouldn't know. There's secret societies. You're not supposed to know. I don't know which ones are real and not real.
I think Skull and Bones
that
is
one
real.
I feel is real. I've heard that in other things. There's a whole movie.
I think I have, yeah.
Or so.
And then, I don't know.
Man, those guys are up to mischief. Okay, what else do you want to talk about?
We did characters, kind of. We did writing.
Have you been surprised about anything so far?
Kind of like the first scene with they're doing I can just say it, right?
Yeah, it's the first scene. Yeah,
they're just doing human augury, and
oh yeah,
I was kind of like, oh no, oh you went there,
yeah.
Like, that's it makes complete sense, but it's like, rip anyone who doesn't know what a haruspex is.
Yeah, Yeah. What did you think of the, totally off note, sorry. What did you think of the Latin in this? There's a lot of Latin, and I remember being like, oh my goodness, I wonder what Jen's going to say.
I like the Latin so far. It hasn't, like, made me mad or anything.
That's good. So
it's not the Raven Boys. Yeah.
Which we still love the Raven Boys. They just have its own version.
People are like, oh, it has a reason. I'm like, I don't care. It drives me bonkers reading it. Yeah.
But you liked the rest of it, didn't you? Didn't you like reading the series?
I did like it, but it's still, like, it's a thorn in my side.
That's fair.
But yeah, I did like the Latin in it, and I like all the references to other texts and poems, and I just had a little bit of
Did you love the
Egypt
Virgil
stuff.
and Dante?
I think they don't spell Virgil, they spell it like the Christian way.
Yep.
Which kind of, like, it's not, but okay, it's fine.
I thought it was kind of a fun take, though, on their position.
Okay, I think it's a joke, because, like, Darlington calls, this is like a Latin pun, which I think is why it's actually a joke. He calls them offices. And, like, in Latin we get that word from officium, which means, like, your business or your duty or your job or whatever. And I think there's a poop joke in there, because in 7th grade when we learned this word, everyone was laughing and I didn't get it. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's a pun in there, and Darlington's being kind of a smart aleck about it.
Well, they all have been called that. I mean, he was called, but I mean, I guess that would make sense then. It's sort of an initiation thing.
Yeah, I think
so that's what you're thinking?
I think it's a pun, but I also don't understand it entirely, because I didn't get the joke in 7th grade.
I did not get the pun at all. I just enjoyed the Dante and Virgil references.
Yeah, it's just like, there are offices, and I'm like, and Alex is like, he calls them offices. He's like, she thinks he's being snooty about it, and I'm like, that's probably because he is.
He probably is, because that's just him too.
Like, lording it over you because you don't know your Latin.
Yeah, okay. What else do you want to talk about? Have you met the bridegroom?
I have.
What do you know of him so far?
Is he a real thing?
He's a real ghost.
In the book, but is there, like, actual haunting stuff about him around New Haven? I, like, Googled his name, but then it was only Ninth House stuff that came up, so I was like...
Is this true?
I was like, is this true, or is there just,
I'm sure there's a lot
so buried in the search history? I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of ghost stories, so it wouldn't surprise me one way or the other if she pulled these from actual text or not, or made them up herself. I have no idea. I did not go research it.
I was like, oh, I'll ask my friend, and I'm like, you have internet and Google. You can just Google it. And I'm like...
But that isn't a bad idea, because maybe she's heard more, like, you know, maybe it's one of those just urban myths that they tell them there kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd like
Find out
him.
and report back.
I like him so far. I think he's gonna pull something. He's too... I don't know.
I mean, he's keeping his distance from her, and he's trying.
He is, but he wants something, and there's... I don't know. It hasn't fully explained, like, why they keep so much distance between humans and greys. And it has... Yeah, and, like, there's something why you're not supposed to talk to them or make deals with them.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
So I'm like, okay, we'll see. I'm suspicious until I get to the end of this one.
And have you found the other murder, right?
The other murder?
Well, because her story sort of starts out with that. Like, mysterious overdose deaths, but there's a lot of blood, so that seems suspicious. Have you gotten to anyone else's death?
Tara's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just
I
can't
was
remember...
like, that's the whole, like, what this book is about. Yeah, we
how
got to Tara's
far
death.
in that is, this mysterious death that she gets called to, like, kind of investigate. Yeah. Because it's found on campus, and her liaison cop is so unhelpful.
Does he get any better?
No.
Oh, man, yeah, I don't really like him. I'm like, oh.
I didn't ever really like him either.
I don't think he's in on any of the supernatural stuff, though. I think he's just...
You'll get more explanation.
Yeah.
So, but have you followed, where are you at in that story part?
Well, this is going to go into spoilers, at least.
So spoilers a little bit.
A little bit. But even then, I don't have that many answers. So she has gone to the crime scene and talked to the coroner, and then she went to talk to Tara's body with a magic ritual to, like, read like the wounds on her body and see if those memories told her anything. It kind of did, but it also raised other questions for her. And then she thought, oh, I can just let it rest, it'll be fine. And then she finds some other stuff out, and she keeps finding connections between Tara and the secret societies, which supposedly Tara had no connection to Yale. which was like that.
But it was really close to campus.
It was
or on campus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And she's like, I did my due diligence, because, like, Tara's blonde, and Helly, who was found dead and found with
her friend.
Alex. Friend? Girlfriend? Love interest?
Helly?
Yeah.
Best friend.
Yeah.
Not a love interest that we know of.
That we know of, yeah. Because she's like, oh, the girl I loved. And I'm like,
I think it's a platonic love.
Is
but,
it? I can't tell yet.
We don't really get that elaborated on.
Yeah, I can't tell. It could go either way.
Well, Helly was seeing the other guy. Not to say she's still not in love with her, but...
Yeah, but then Alex was seeing... I don't know. I don't know yet. But then Helly is also blonde, so it kind of took Alex back to all these memories she didn't want to remember. And she's like, okay, another girl is dead. I can do something about it. She deserves justice and answers. And she thinks she finds answers. She's like, okay, these don't lead anywhere, or they lead to what they already thought. So I'm good. She's not. Then she does a whole bunch of stuff. She does, like, a ritual, and she goes to the borderlands between life and death. That part was cool. The magic in this is really cool.
The magic is really cool in this. Yeah, I agree completely. I like all the rituals and stuff, too. And not to say she doesn't get herself into trouble. She does.
Oh, she
does. A little bit. Here and there. But they all do, honestly. Like, all the houses are dabbling with forces they are not very versed in.
And all the houses are doing different shady bad things.
Yeah. Even though they're being monitored, which is why they have to be more monitored. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's like you can do bad things just
to this point.
Yeah, up to this point, which is kind of like
look the other way.
Yeah, it's like that's okay.
Yeah.
But then she like goes to the Borderlands. That was cool.
That was cool.
And so like they're in the Nile, kind of. And she's talking to the bridegroom, and she makes a deal with him. So she's like, you investigate on that side of the veil, being the veil between life and death.
Okay, so you got that part.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And she's like, you investigate, like, go talk to Tara's ghost.
Right.
And, like, find out who, like, killed her, if she knows anything. And the bridegroom's like, okay, but you have to do me a favor.
Okay, so you got to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs his mystery of his death and his
is that the other death you were talking about?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was Tara's. I just wanted to make sure you knew about that, because I can't remember, like, how far in that gets told about, if it's right away. But good, I'm glad you got to know kind of a little bit more about the bridegroom and his whole wedding day.
Was that his wedding
massacre.
day?
Well, he's in his bridegroom outfit.
Oh, that's why they call him that. I thought they just did it because they were engaged.
I think it's their day. When you get there, let me know. Okay. But I pretty feel like it's the actual wedding day.
I don't remember if it was. I don't think it was mentioned or not. Because they were just in a warehouse, right? That's where they.
Just keep going. On that one.
So that's a no.
Okay, good. So I'm glad you got to know him a little bit more.
Yeah,
that's good.
And because he's saying that he didn't kill his fiance and himself. He's like, someone else killed us, and Alex is like, okay, I guess I have to. Yeah,
I feel for you, dude. Fine. And I need something. You need something.
Yeah, and she's gone to Tara's apartment.
Okay.
For effluvia.
I have a crossover with this series with Vengeful, so ask me next week what it was. Because I was like, I totally didn't even remember it until I was rereading this a little bit last night. So I was like, Victor would be proud. I'll tell you next week.
Now, oh my gosh, now I want to know what it is.
I don't really know that we can really talk too much more on this, unless there's something you want to talk about specifically.
Talk about like some of the magic the houses do. Like we just said, they do bloody bad magic.
They do. Is there one you want to talk about specifically?
I don't know. I just thought they were
I liked them. I thought they were neat. And I don't know if you've like gone to the party or anything yet, and that was really cool.
The manuscript
maybe
party?
Where they're all like, it's a huge rave kind of thing.
Yeah, and it has the different levels.
Yeah, I liked that. I thought the party was cool, and they are definitely all up to stuff. They're very up to college-y things.
Yeah. Or the guy who wrote like a best-selling novel and then couldn't write another word, and they do like a ritual to give him another book.
Yeah. So there's some cool magic. I agree, definitely on that part, and it gets more interesting. Yeah. And do you know much about Dawes and what she does?
I know she's a grad student who's perpetually working on her dissertation.
That will never end.
Yes,
with her little note cards, her index cards.
And she's kind of like the caretaker for Leigh.
Yeah, she's basically keeps that and keeps watch over.
She's the oculus. She's the eye. Mm-hmm. Does that mean she can, like, what does that mean? Does she see things now? I don't know. Is that a
She
no?
just watches over the house.
Okay,
mostly. But she's there to help out if needed. Mm-hmm. And she's really good at research.
Yeah.
And stuff.
And she kind of gets pulled into helping Alex.
Yeah.
More.
Figure out the catastrophes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
She grew on me.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if we
She's
were going to like her.
Yeah. Aloof.
Yeah.
In the beginning. And she kind of stays that way. She definitely doesn't want to get drug in as much as she does.
Yeah, I thought she was going to, like, stay on, like, the periphery and we weren't going to get to know her more, but we do. And she stands up for Alex to Sandow. Uh-huh. And I'm like, you can stay.
Yep, I know. I end up really liking her in the end, too.
Okay, this is good.
Yep. Anything else you want to talk about?
I'm excited to finish the end.
Me too, because that's where...
This is good. Like, yesterday afternoon, I was at, like, 140 or 114 or
114,
something.
114, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, noble effort.
I gave it a valiant effort.
Next week will be better.
Next week will be better.
Life will calm down.
I have an audiobook for next week.
For His Hideous Heart? Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, should we talk about that? What are we reading next week? I saw it.
I pulled it.
Oh, good. I'm like, I saw it.
I was ahead of it this week. So we're reading His Hideous Heart, edited by Dahlia Adler. It has a bunch of different authors because it's an anthology of reimaginings of Edgar Allan Poe's short stories.
Perfect for the Friday before Halloween.
For Halloween Eve.
Yes.
I think it has the original stories in here, too.
So that'll be really fun. I'm excited for that one. I've actually wanted to read that one for a while.
Yeah.
I love Poe. Maybe I'll wear a Poe shirt next week. Anyway, check in next week. We will try to do a recap of this at the end of that one. That way you won't have it spoiled either. But you can tune in after we talk about all the spoilers in this one and get more. So, yeah.
Double dose of spoilers next week.
Double dose.
More than we did this week.
Double toil and trouble. Anywho, we will see everyone again next week.
Yep.
All right. Bye.